Hello, everyone. It's so good to have you with me today. Welcome to our broadcast today. I want to welcome everyone. Those of you who are watching, it seems to be the majority of you who are watching via the rebroadcast. Thank you so much. That means so much to me and to the team to have you watching with us. So just want to welcome you. Today we will be talking again about forgiveness. Last week we talked about forgiveness and we had such an incredible response. We had a lot of feedback from you on the topic that was very relevant and just talked about some things both online and privately. I do understand that some of the topics that we talk about are quite sensitive and are very personal, can be very personal. So I totally understand it. Absolutely. If you have a question that you don't want to pose on the page, please feel free to send me a private message, as many of you did. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Gwendolyn Burton, and I am a writer. I am a friend. I am a mentor. I am a woman who is becoming my true authentic self, becoming who I came to the earth to be. And so I invite you on the journey with me as I go through this process of writing an incredible book dealing with various issues that I've dealt with over my life and in my life. And so issues that are relevant to so many other people. I'm not the only one who's gone through this, but at this time I have been, I feel that it's important for me. I feel that it is a part of my purpose to share some of those experiences with you, to be transparent, and just to do what I can to help you on your journey. So I am going to go on today. That's just a little bit about me, but because our topic today is so important as it was last week, and so many people had questions and comments and just wanted to share with me their experience with forgiveness. I'm going to go on and get started. So last week we talked a bit about forgiving other people who have wounded us deeply, people who have impacted us for life in some cases, as it is in my case. And so we talked about the process of forgiveness last week. We talked about, why is it so hard to forgive people? You mean I have to forgive people for everything they've done to me? And we talked about the real side of that issue, and we dispelled some of the misconceptions about forgiveness. So if you haven't watched last week's broadcast, I strongly encourage you to go back and watch that, because that will give you some context of where we're going or what we're really dealing with when we're dealing with this forgiveness issue. All of those who are coming on live right now, thank you so much for joining me. I see you there, and I ask that you go on, and if I say something that resonates with you, if I say something that leads to a question, or you just have a comment, please comment, and that goes for the rebroadcast as well. So I'm going to go on. So welcome everyone. Thank you again so much. And so what I am going to do now is, but today we're going to delve back into the forgiveness area. And today we are going to be talking about self-forgiveness. I think that is an area that so many people like forgiveness in the broader sense. But today we're going to look at self-forgiveness, because I think that so many people struggle with self-forgiveness. That's something I've dealt with too. I've struggled with that as well. And it's so, in some instances, it's easier to forgive someone, for us to forgive someone else who has done us wrong, someone who has offended us, someone who has hurt us. Sometimes we can forgive another person more or faster or quicker than we can ourselves. When we have made mistakes and when we have had indiscretions and things of that nature, sometimes those things weigh so heavy on us. And we're in a fight, we're in a struggle, and we're like, I don't deserve forgiveness for what I did. I can't forgive myself for what I did. What I did was wrong. We may even, say, we may even have known that what we were doing was wrong, and we did it anyway. And because of those circumstances and those factors, we find it so difficult to forgive ourselves. But one thing I want you to understand is that every single person who has walked and who will walk the face of the earth has made mistakes. We all have regrets. If we could go back and change some of the things that we've done in the past, if we could go back and change some of the behavior that we exhibited, if we could go back and change some of the things that we said, certainly we would do it. Because now we're more mature in some cases, we're wiser in some cases, and certainly we regret those things that we've done. Now, there may be instances where we can go back and make amends in as much as amends can be made, apologies, things of that nature. But in a lot of cases, that's just not possible. What's done is done. What we did is over and done with. Are there repercussions sometimes? Are we still living with some of the repercussions of our actions? Certainly. But when we get to the point where we can't forgive ourselves, I believe that we have to look at some of the factors that contributed to our behavior at the time. And these factors by no means, by no means, give us a pass, but they put things in context, and hopefully they will help us to understand exactly what we're dealing with and why it is that we possibly can't forgive ourselves. Now, I think as I was writing this week, because I thought I had completed the chapter on forgiveness, but as I was just reflecting on our time together last week and all the comments and all the feedback and all the private messages that I received, as I was reflecting on that, I found myself going back into the area of forgiveness and expanding the section of the chapter or the portion in the chapter where I dealt with forgiveness, forgiving ourselves. And some of the things that I really wanted to go a little deeper in was, I think it's important when we're looking at or we're struggling with forgiving ourselves, I think it's important that we look at the environment in which we operate, the environment in which we made those choices, the environment in which we made those decisions that led to the behavior that we seem unable to forgive ourselves for. And so when we look at the environment, I believe that we have to look at the cultural norms, the societal norms, those things that were acceptable, those things that were common during the time or at the time that we made that regrettable decision, that we participated in that regrettable behavior. Because sometimes there are certain time periods, certain eras where things were acceptable, where it was the norm for us to do certain things, where it was the norm for us to participate in certain types of behavior. And those environmental factors play a direct role in how we respond, in how we act, in how we behave, in what we do. So I think it's important for us to kind of consider, okay, what was really going on when I made that decision? Another thing is that our insecurities, and this is a big one, our insecurities play such a big role in what we do. I believe that when we, the guilt that we hold, the shame, the blame, there's a lot of blame, because when we walk in, when we are unable to forgive ourselves, we hold a lot of guilt. We hold a lot of shame, because we feel that this thing that I did is so, it makes me feel so shameful. I'm hurt by it. I can't believe I did that. I wish I had not responded that way to that particular situation, whether it's with our children, with our a relationship. We have a lot of regrets when it comes to relationships. You know, I did this. I wish I could have been, I should have been a better mother. I should have been a better wife. I should have been a better husband, a better friend. So relationships are so key in this unforgiveness thing when we're looking at forgiving ourselves. So we walk around and we carry that shame, that guilt, that embarrassment, that feeling of inferiority. So when we are really struggling with security issues, then our need for love, our need for acceptance, our need for protection, our need for self-worth, our need for survival. We've done some things in our lives simply, or not simply, because survival is a primary need, because of our need to survive, of our need to take care of our children, our need to take care of what we felt was ourselves, and to be able to move on and to make it that day, or during that era, during that time period, during that circumstance. So we made decisions based on those things. We wanted to be accepted. We had a need, to be accepted, to be loved, to have self-worth, or we made the decision that we did, that regrettable decision that we're talking about, that decision, or those decisions that keep us weighted down, keep us in bondage, keep us, unable to break free and forgive ourselves. We made those decisions because of low self-esteem. I didn't think I was worthy, so I did that. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was loved. So that's one of the reasons that we have done things, that we participated in certain behavior. Another thing is our need to just kind of, last week we talked about forgiving others. And when people have harmed us deeply and wounded us deeply, sometimes because of the environment we're in, some people have been in very abusive relationships and situations, and when we're in those situations, sometimes, and we stay, And then, one thing leads to the other. Remember earlier in our time together, in an earlier broadcast, we talked about that residue that we carry, the residual effects of what happened to us or what we done or what we did. Then that impacts us a lot now. And that keeps us from forgiving ourselves. But I had a revelation this week. I had a light bulb moment, and it was this. When we are walking in unforgiveness, or we are unable to forgive ourselves, we place ourselves in a position, or hold ourselves to a standard that's higher than God's standard. Did you get that? Did anybody catch that? When we walk in unforgiveness towards ourselves, when we're unable to forgive ourselves, we are holding ourselves at a standard that's higher than God's standard, because God forgives us. He knows everything we've done. He knows the mistakes we've made. He knows that thing that we can't shake loose. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I did that. Oh, if I could go back and do it again, and make, a different choice, I would. He knows all of that. He knows every single thing we've ever done. And you know what? He still forgives us. So if God forgives us for that thing or those things that we've done, how much more should we forgive ourselves? I think sometimes we don't forgive ourselves because we have that need to pay ourselves back. I have to make myself pay for what I did. So we beat ourselves up and we keep holding on and holding on and holding on to that thing. And when we do that, sometimes I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there today because I want this to really help someone. I want someone to understand the harm that we do to ourselves when we walk in unforgiveness towards ourselves, when we don't forgive ourselves. There's research that supports that when we're walking in unforgiveness, and last week we talked about all those feelings that are associated with that: resentment, bitterness, anger, hatred, all those emotions. So go back and watch that if you haven't, or just review it. When we do hold on to all those emotions, sometimes we're punishing. We're punishing ourselves, making ourselves pay for what we did. We begin to take on behavior, self-debilitating, harmful, toxic behavior that's dangerous. In some cases, when we walk in unforgiveness towards ourselves, some of the behavior that we exhibit, and we may not even know where it's really coming from, the root of it, we just know we feel some kind of way. And depending on your experience, your life experience, and the thing that you're struggling with, you may very well know, and this is why you're doing the things that you're doing. You're abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, abusing our body. We're involved in this self-destructive behavior. We have eating disorders, and we're harming ourselves physically, doing things. We're promiscuous. Thank you. And all kind of behaviors that we don't really that we're participating in because of what we feel towards ourselves. Because I believe that one of the key factors, one of the key reasons that we aren't able to forgive ourselves is that we don't really love ourselves. We don't love ourselves. Not the way that we're supposed to love ourselves. And if we don't love ourselves, how can we forgive ourselves? If I don't love myself, then I may not feel that I'm worthy to be forgiven, to forgive myself. Does that make sense? Did anybody catch that? Is this, I really encourage you to talk back, give me some thumbs up or or something. Let me know that you're there, that something I'm saying is getting through to you or is helping you or that you agree with it. But I think that once we do the work, and that's what we have to do. We have to do the work of forgiving ourselves, identifying those things and saying, you know what? That's what I did that. Yes, I did. I acknowledge I did that. I am sorry for that. And with that acknowledgement comes growth, because the fact that you can look back on that situation, the fact that you can reflect on that behavior and say that if I wouldn't do that today, I would make a different decision today. I would choose differently today than I did, even if that was last week. Even if the thing that you are unable to forgive yourself for, even if that happened last week, if you can look back just to last week or yesterday and say, you know, I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't make that same decision. I would choose differently. If you can do that and say that I would choose differently today than I did earlier, that notates growth. That shows that you've grown. You've already taken a step forward towards growth. And anytime you grow, you know, sometimes we think we have to make leaps and bounds before we give ourselves credit for growth. But any step forward, regardless of how small it is, any step forward is growth. Any step forward is progress. So I think that, and I believe that if we can look back and say, okay, I'm at a different place now, then we should give ourselves credit for that. So, you know, yeah, I'm a different person now than I was yesterday. I'm a different person today than I was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I am a different person. And I am on I'm on my journey. I can look at my regrets and know that today I would make a different decision because I'm a different person. I've matured. I'm a wiser person. When we learn to give ourselves credit for some of the things that the progress we've made, then that makes a difference in how we feel about ourselves. Let me tell you something. Regardless of what you have done, regardless of what I have done, the mistakes we've made, that's not a unique group. Everybody has made mistakes. But we have got to learn how to love ourselves, how to value ourselves. You are important. You have worth. You have value. I have value. We were not put in the earth. We were not put here to be weighed down, to walk in condemnation, to be heavy and to be sad and broken all the time. No, certainly things happen in life that will hurt us, that will break us, that will wound us. We will make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we get these life lessons. But I want you to understand that you are important. You have value. You have purpose, regardless of the things that you've done, regardless of the things that I've done in my life, those regrettable things, those embarrassing things, those shameful things, those people we've hurt. We have to forgive ourselves. As long as we are holding ourselves and in our self-imposed prisons, we put ourselves in prison sometimes. It's not always someone else. It's not always that person, that other person. We put ourselves, we do some things to ourselves. And we need to take responsibility for that and say, you know what? Could it be that, yeah, I'm doing this to myself. I'm doing this to myself. We have to do the work. We have to take the time to visit those places. Visit those places in our hearts, in our minds. But visit them with intention. The intention to acknowledge it. Yes, I did that. Yes, I behaved that way. Yes, I made that mistake. But today I'm going to free myself from that. I'm giving myself permission to forgive myself, to release myself, to heal in order to move forward in my life. Holding yourself hostage to your past mistakes doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit me. Because my purpose is so much bigger than my past mistakes. My past mistakes, my past experiences are a platform, a foundation for me to stand on and propel myself or be propelled into something greater. The experiences, nothing that you have ever experienced, nothing that no mistake that you've made is useless. Everything that we have experienced in life, and I am a witness, everything can be used for a greater purpose. It's how you frame it, how you choose to frame it, how you choose to allow it to be used. No one could have ever told me, listen to me, that the things I endured as a little girl, we talked about that last week, the sexual abuse that I endured as a little girl. No one could have ever told me that the challenges that I had, in my marriage, no one could have told me that the transition, the death of my beloved child could have been used or could be used for a greater purpose. But the fact that I am here today and you are listening to me today tells me and it shows me that every life experience that I have had can be used for a greater purpose, can be used to help someone, to encourage someone, to inspire someone, to motivate someone, to tell someone, hold on, you can make it. It may seem like you're going to go under. It may seem like you've been betrayed. It may seem as if you're not going to make it. It may seem as if life is just not fair. That's right, because I've had those days recently where I said, as I'm writing and I'm looking at all the things I've gone through in my life, I just named 3. Oh my God, I could tell you so many more. And I'm talking about difficult, tragic, hurtful, embarrassing situations. Those situations I look back on this week and I thought, I've had enough heartbreak and pain and disappointment for a lifetime. If nothing else ever happened to me and I live to be 150, I've had enough. Yeah. I still feel that way sometimes. But when I look at the things that I've gone through and I see the woman that I am today, and I say this, I didn't do it on my own. No. I had people in my life who loved me and encouraged me, who stood with me, who helped me to hold my head up, put my shoulders back, put on my heels, my lipstick, and walk it out. And that's what you've got to do. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, you've got to walk it out. You've got to work it out. Whatever that area of unforgiveness is, that thing you cannot forgive yourself for, you got to go deep. Acknowledge it. Forgive yourself. Your happiness, your peace, your healing, it's not worth forfeiting for that thing. Don't forfeit your purpose, your life, your healing, because you're unable to forgive yourself. Okay? All right. So, if you have any questions, you have any comments before we close out today, go on and put them, type them in. If you have any questions after the broadcast has ended, please go on and put a comment in. As I said, I always I go back through the week and I read them and I respond. Those of you who contact me privately, feel free to continue doing so. As I said, I know that the things we talk about, some of the things we talk about are very personal. Some of the things we talk about, some of you aren't able to share right now. And I understand that. And you don't want to put specific questions or comments down there. So feel free to contact me as you've been doing. That's quite all right. Those of you who are watching via rebroadcast, thank you so much. Those of you who are here live, I see you're coming in still. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I love you. My friend Christina, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I see June. I see so many more of you who are there. And I won't go through all the names. You know, I've seen them. I just wanted to acknowledge you. And so as you go forth this week, go forth with the intention of forgiving yourself. You deserve it. Take responsibility for your action. We're looking at being our true, authentic self. Own your truth. It's a part of your truth. Own it. Own your truth. But don't let that truth keep you from moving forward. Okay? Have an amazing week. And thank you so much. I will say this again. If you, are able to share the video or invite someone else to join our page, please do that. You may do it privately. I know you may not want to do it, online, but just invite someone to join us. I'm really looking at expanding our viewership, and I need your help. We have an amazing viewership. Let me say that first off. But I know that what I'm dealing with, what I'm writing about, is so relevant, and so many people are going to be helped. So I don't want this just to be our little private club. I don't want it to be just our little private club. I want all those people out there who are hurting, all those people out there who can benefit from the things that we talk about. So go back, look at the page, read what we're all about, and then tell a friend or two, hey, join this page. I think it will be helpful. So thank you so much. Share the message, and I will meet you back again next week. This week, we will be having a topic in our leaning forward, looking forward, thinking private group page on the Moving Forward with Gwendolyn. So please comment in on that too. Okay, have an amazing day. You are forever in my heart. Bye now.